Sandworm. Snape? Freaking creep. We're gonna inject the payload. No, he's gonna die.
These were far more effective when we were kids.
Tristan.
Now they're cheap plastic. It's May! It's Star Wars, buds!
Oh, I've been making the joke for a year and it's finally applicable again.
It's finally Star Wars month. Sorry,
Are you sure?
I thought I heard something fall.
No, you heard.
We have precious.
over here.
I was like, we have
Can you
precious
imagine?
cargo.
Like, subscribe, get it. See what I
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Not to force you to do anything. You will subscribe. You know how many times I bet that joke is made? You will subscribe
This
to this
is the
podcast.
YouTube channel you're looking for. This is the YouTube
Only
channel you're looking
stormtroopers are so precise.
The frame
That's
rate.
why-
The frame rate.
If John
podcast.
Lennon was in Star Wars.
You'll never find a podcast so full of scum and villainy. Oh,
Every true crime podcast ever.
just Mos Eisley.
But like literally.
It's Star Wars month, and boy, have we.
Boy, have we.
Yeah.
You
It's
know how many times I've worn this jacket now? I think this is like 3.
it comes as no shock to anyone that this is my favorite month of the year.
He loves May.
Granted, May's only fun for the first week, and then afterwards, everyone's like, okay, stop with the Star Wars crap. But I shall not. I own over $400 in Star Wars crap, and this is the only month I'm justified to show it off. And I told my wife right before we started this episode, I'm so grateful I run a podcast now, because now I have an outlet to show my stuff off in.
There was a reason for purchasing it all those years ago.
Because now I just get it off the shelf and I'm like, and it goes, because Oakley's scared of the helmets. I put the
bet.
helmets on and she's like, oh. Don't put the helmets on her, bro. Terrified of them.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't it like swallow her?
Pretty much. Pretty much, especially the Phase 2 clone helmet, because it's like the size of a mini fridge.
Mm-hmm. Carry her around.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I've thought about taking because I inevitably won't be able to buy one of the collector popcorn buckets because they'll get scalped the moment they come out. I've thought about taking like a bucket and flipping one of my helmets upside down and putting the bucket in the helmet and then just showing up to the theater like, put popcorn in.
There's a good idea right there.
And everyone's like, oh, did you make that? I know I bought this for $145.
There's a good idea.
Multi-use.
Yeah. Remember that. Jot that down.
It's in there.
May 22nd, we've got things to do.
Yep. It's been a good month, Star Wars content-wise. We started off, we didn't start off the month with the release of the Darth Maul show.
It wrapped up
But it wrapped
on
up.
Monday.
Yeah, Monday,
Yeah.
the 4th. And
Mhm.
man, I've been saying it since the beginning of time. You know, Trevor's heard me say it.
Editor, put in the clip. Just kidding. You probably don't have the footage of it anymore.
I've said it a lot that like Disney could seriously put just about anything in the Clone Wars animation style and it would just be straight heat. Just pure unfiltered gasoline.
Even though the show is already pretty good, I bet that like Rebels would be held in as high of
Oh my
regard
gosh.
as Clone Wars is had it used
Yeah,
the same stuff.
Absolutely. It would be like
100%. I don't know if that's a hot
Peak.
take or anything,
Um,
but it definitely is lower in the animation department
yeah.
than Clone Wars
Yeah.
is, which is saying something.
But this
You
was.
seen what Yoda looks like in that show, dude?
Oh my gosh.
The only time he actually looks like an old man.
It's true.
His comb over is like
He looks like
not noticeable in the movies.
He looks like he's had about like 3 or 4 mortgages he's had to file bankruptcy on. It's like, going under I am.
Dying, I must.
So that show was great. I'm not obviously not
Do you
going
want to talk about spoilers?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a few days. If you've been watching it, you've been watching it. And if you
Yeah.
haven't been, then you don't care.
Yeah.
But
Overall,
spoiler warning,
it's a-
regardless.
it's a beautiful show.
Really good.
It's obviously it's done in the Clone Wars animation style, so it already gets like the artistic style points.
It's appealing.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is just because I've been like paying attention more for this show or whatever, but like the painted backgrounds for a lot of things, I feel like they've like upped it.
I was gonna bring that up.
Like it,
Yeah.
it's like really, really good.
I was actually gonna ask you if you thought that those were like actual painted backgrounds that they like
they look watercolor.
superseded into
Yeah.
like the animation, because that was it was very reminiscent of like the OG trilogy days where
yeah,
like-
it's the matte painting, you know.
Yeah.
I think
and you could see it
I mean,
too,
you
like
could probably replicate pretty closely watercolor painting in digital art, but like it looks pretty
yeah.
regardless.
You could
I can tell it's not
yeah.
3-dimensional most of the time.
You could see it too, like some of the city shots, like very,
Mm-hmm.
and not in a bad way, but it was very like same plane, right?
Yeah.
But it looked beautiful.
No, I definitely like
And
you said. Was
actually think-
homage to
I think that
OG.
something I noticed too is I think that there was a little more of that artistic like flair, even in the character designs, more than show's original.
It
like,
definitely
when you-
felt
When you saw like Maul's face up close, it looked like
it had strokes on it,
painted
right?
on
Yeah.
versus like an animated CG
where it's like
model.
flattened and
Yeah.
modeled.
Yeah.
right.
Like still in the Clone Wars style, but like painted.
All
versus-
in all, it just felt like it had a lot more love put in.
Yeah, yeah,
Right, everybody that worked on the project was very passionate.
yeah. It definitely just looked more like handcraft, because like obviously what we have to compare it to is the Bad Batch. And
Most recent,
Mhm.
right? Is that
But-
the most recent?
well, I guess the Tales,
Oh yeah,
but even those, they don't have like the like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like the stroke marks of the paintbrush, even on
Yeah.
like the characters' design.
it's more style to the models.
yeah,
right.
It's like just like a plain
it
3D
it looks
model.
textured, but still modeled.
like
right?
what we're used to seeing versus
Mhm.
this one took like what we're used to seeing, but gave it a little bit of like a uniqueness that set it apart just enough to be like, this is the Clone Wars and this is it stuff and this is the Maul show, and the Maul show is the same but separate enough that it's its own story.
Yeah.
Right?
And when they announced this show, was that at Star Wars? Was that
Mhm.
at the Star Wars convention
No,
back in
it was at I think it was
Star Wars
last year.
Celebration?
It might have been.
I
I
think
thought it was
I
at
feel-
just D23.
I feel like we talked about it.
yeah, but was that?
We'll have to go back in our episodes. I feel like we talked
Yeah.
about
I remember
for
us
the Star
talking
Wars
about. I
Celebration
just can't
stuff.
remember if it was Star Wars Celebration or if it was.
D23.
Yeah,
Regardless, it was announced in the Anaheim
Yeah.
Convention Center.
yeah, yeah. If it was the Anaheim Convention Center, then it was.
Well, they were both. The D23 is always there, and
But
Star
I
Wars
think-
Celebration was there last year.
think it was in Japan last year, and this.
Oh,
year
you're
it's-
right. It was
this
in.
year's.
It
in
was.
Anaheim.
Sorry, I was thinking. That's right. It like cycles through going to Anaheim.
Yeah. Anyways,
They're gonna talk about the New Hope 50th, right?
hmm
Wonder what they're gonna do.
I'm so excited.
Have any thoughts of what they might do? Because no one's talking about this.
I think
but,
that
like,
it's. I think it's gonna get. I I don't think they'll change anything.
Pull a Nintendo. Remastered.
Jack
remade.
Black's Darth Vader.
Luke, you're part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Send her away.
Wow. I bet you they remaster it again. I bet you they.
Well, do you think they'll do like what they did back in the 90s and they like add in more like CG scenes, like, you know, with like the stormtroopers walking around on lizards and
I think
stuff?
so.
Like, you think they'll do more?
Either they add more or they give it a serious brush up. I don't know if there's a way to get rid of
you can
70s
upscale.
film grain.
There's stuff that they can do. I mean,
but I bet you they
truthfully, they've gotten so good at this that ILM could 100% digitally recreate the movie and no one would know.
They have that one deep fake guy just do the entire movie.
And it would honestly.
What if they add that fan scene, the battle between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader?
That would be super dope, but I think more people would be mad about that than happy. Because again,
I could see them doing that.
People have kind of created their like headcanon as to why they did it. So like they fought that way anyway.
Yeah.
Like it would be really cool if they added that, like they just more like that. But I think in the end, they'll probably, I bet now that Disney is doing this at Disneyland, they might connect, if the timing lines up, that is, the retheming of Galaxy's Edge with
I think so. Yeah.
I'm sure they'll re-release it in theaters. Maybe they'll upscale it for IMAX.
Yeah.
They'll do whatever.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna go big. The logo's gold. When they release a gold anything, they like it's always over the top. So.
Yeah, and especially for like
Star Wars,
the one that was
movie,
just titled Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure that
the first movie. I bet you they might bring back George Lucas for something. That would be kind of cool. Like,
yeah. He old though.
Yeah, but he still got it.
I wish I could do an impression of George Lucas. No, that's like kind of. I can't really talk that soft all the time. I can't hear myself. I don't know if I.
Anyways, we're off track. The mall show.
George Lucas wasn't involved, but his successor was.
He was a little. Well, no, you're right.
Based on the characters
created
by George Lucas, you see in the credits.
No, I think actually my favorite thing about the mall show was really just taking a step back and just marveling in how far that animation styles actually come. Like,
yeah, you even if like you didn't like where the story was headed, you knew that you were in for eye candy every time.
Mm-hmm. Like, I went and showed Grace one of the first episodes of the Clone Wars as a comparison.
Or the movie.
Like, oh my gosh.
The static Anakin face.
The Ahsoka.
Oh, jeez.
A master.
Gosh, that would be something that would be really funny to react
Obi-Wan
to
just
this.
Every 30 seconds in the Clone Wars.
His clearly solid beard.
His hands like forming over the beard. Just
Man.
No, but there's obviously that one shot that everybody's talking about when the Inquisitors jumped through the waterfall and they took the time to animate the steam coming off the lightsaber. And it's like monkey neuron activation.
Like,
the scene from Thor Ragnarok when Loki and the Grandmaster are like, that was me.
A similar thing
in bed, I rose for that scene.
watching the, I think it was episode 9, when Darth Vader initially strikes Darth Maul's hip, like when the Inquisitor did it, you see it just make that like classic like laser cut red orange, you know. But like when Darth Vader did it, you watched it like spark and like melt away a little bit, like it was like steel wool kind of a thing. I was like, that
I don't want to get like
gorgeous,
too graphic, but you also see that in Master Daki when he gets stabbed by like I don't want this to sound like sadistic in any way, so nobody take it this way. But there was something so satisfying. I rewound hit the scene of him being stabbed and watched it over and over again because, like, as he's being stabbed, he moves a little bit, and you see the whole move, and the lightsaber travel through him, like it's stationary and he moves, and I was like,
I gotta wonder.
What was the budget for this show?
I gotta wonder because like of those little visual differences, and because it was Dave Filoni and Sam Witwer working perfectly in tandem on the show, and with everything you hear Sam Witwer talk about whenever he goes in even a little bit into lore. If you hear this at all, Mr. Witwer, one, love you, man. But two, like, do you think that Darth Vader's lightsaber has that kind of effect because like he's angrier, or he did more to his kyber crystal in his lightsaber to make it more static that way,
like, hatred put into his,
and so it's hotter in a way?
I'd imagine. If not, that's a cool headcanon.
I'm gonna say that. Whatever.
We will make a clip of this, and I will tag you, Mr. Witwer, in this. I'll also ask you for an autograph.
Guest?
You're kind of like my Star Wars hero. I've loved you since
I'd sit on the floor, and you can sit here.
I'll sit on the table.
We'll rent a studio for you.
Yeah. That it was just so good. And watching the finale and watching Darth Vader, like being able to see like a prime Darth Vader was so cool. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously over the years we've seen the movements of Vader become less and less static as like technology's improved, and I want to say like clothing tech has improved.
Well, just, the different types of animating different types of things, right?
Well, like, and not only that, but like watching like even live action Darth Vader from A New Hope to Darth Vader in Rogue One, and then Hayden Christensen in the Obi-Wan show, like being able to see the suit not be limited so much as it once was in the 70s, but especially seeing him in the Clone Wars animation, which is like what everyone's been asking for.
I'm just so happy. Like, while we're on this subject, I'm just so happy, not to again sound like I'm dogging on Rebels, but that they made him look like the Darth Vader we know, right? And I know that like almost movie to movie, Darth Vader's design is slightly different for whatever reason. His like shoulder pads are a little different. His chest piece is smaller, larger, whatever. But
lenses are red.
Yeah, but like it looks and feels and sounds like Darth Vader. Whereas like with Rebels, it's like, Clone Wars Count Dooku. It's like,
yeah. Well, I think the reasoning behind that is the Rebels Darth Vader is supposed to look a little more like the
70s one.
No, like the concept art.
Oh yeah.
The same way that like the stormtroopers in this are a 1-to-1 rip off of the concepts for stormtroopers in the 70s, which is a cool little tidbit. But no, I like, especially when you see him at the end of. You see Darth Vader at the end of the final season of the Clone Wars, and you're like, oh, man, that looks good. And then you see him occasionally like pop up, just like him sitting there in the various Tales shows, right? Or wherever he appears. You're like, so to watch him come out and just do this stuff, like, man.
And I feel like this was, I mean, I know that Darth Vader hasn't really been in a lot of like Star Wars IP somewhat recently, but like, in the Obi-Wan show, they purposely were making him like more emotional and stuff because, Obi-Wan,
there's history
and all that. And so it was like a little bit different of a Darth Vader than we knew and were used to, just because of how they were handling that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But like this, at least for me, watching him fight in this show, it felt like he was terrifying again.
Oh,
this like everyone raves about Darth Vader being like one of the most like iconic and intimidating and terrifying villains.
But you don't
film
get to see
history,
him
but
cut
like
loose.
But like because he's been around for so long, like you're kind of just used and you're not like terrified.
Yeah.
But you got to remember that like probably he's like after all of his augmentations, this dude's probably like 6'6", jet black. Most of the time he's not speaking. I mean, all you hear is his breathing.
There's the shot like just comparing the height differences that we can go. Like I'm sure there's some
literally compare.
Some guys like judging by the pixel. Like Liam Neeson, how tall is Liam Neeson?
He's 6'4", I think.
Yeah. Like
cuz I know they had to build the Phantom Menace sets around his height so that everything fit.
Yeah, he's 6. You're right. He's 6'4". Right? So seeing like Darth Maul like put up against Liam Neeson episode 1, right? They're roughly around the same height. Like I'm pretty sure Ray Park, he might be shorter.
I feel like he was around like 5'11",
Ray
6 foot.
Park height. He's 5'9", right?
Oh.
5'9". So Darth Maul's like that's a little shorter than me, right? I'm still like a fairly tall dude. I'm not large, but that's around my height. But like watching Darth Vader, like in this
looming
over him. And then up until this point in the show, Darth Maul is like the scariest figure in the show. He's got the biggest presence.
He's the intimidating one.
Yeah. So then to see Darth Vader show up, you're like, wow. It was very.
What are you?
It was very reminiscent of the Rogue One hallway scene. Like, only this time I knew he was going to show up, but he still shows up, and you're like, ooh. And
I heard the like Darth Maul's like first attendant Mandalorian Death Watch lady, her voice actress. Again, I don't know how true this is because I just like read it. I didn't like see a clip of her saying this, but like, she was reading the script and she knew that Darth Vader was going to kill her or whatever. And they asked her how she wanted to die because it was going to be like off screen.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she wanted Darth Vader to rip her lungs out of her mouth, tear her lungs out through her mouth.
Mm-hmm.
One,
horrifying.
Check yourself into a psychological center, lady. Yeah. I hope that it took you time to think of that.
That's right off the top of the dome, bro.
Supposedly, I mean, I need to rewatch the scene because to me, I'm just used to like, oh, choke, break her neck or whatever.
It's a far more.
That is what they do.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, I don't know. There could be some sick animator who made that and you just can't see it because it's behind the fog. But like, they did that. That's what they did.
Yeah. I remember hearing it and I remember being like, oof, this is a lot worse than what I've heard the Rebel and the OG like enough.
They put it in the show, but you can totally hear the same thing.
Yeah. It's far more.
It's gruesome.
Well, anyways, good show. Really, really, we're getting a little too fanboy.
I'm geeking.
That's what this is for.
I'm cheesing.
It was a great show, and again, I'm a sucker for the Clone Wars. I grew up watching that. I think like that means a lot more. That animation style means a lot more to me because like I grew up with it, and I got to see it evolve. And these storylines are continuations of storylines that happened from my childhood. So like I feel a lot more invested in. But just from like a viewing standpoint, it's definitely one of the better Star Wars projects we've gotten in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like Andor aside, because Andor, like Rogue One, is just an absolute anomaly.
Kind of like you keep it in a bubble.
Yeah. It's its own thing. Star Wars and Andor story.
An Andor story.
But like minus that stuff, we've gotten honestly some severe milk toast-esque content that's come out.
Milk toast.
Yeah. And no, I like the green Nook toast.
It's better.
And like they've released all of those Tales series, and everybody's been like, wow, this stuff is really good, but we only get like 15 minutes, 5 minutes of these, and they're just like shorts.
We really just gotta hope that they're figuring out and they're working on making good Star Wars that isn't just in Clone Wars animation style.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like truthfully outside of Andor, because it's kind of been its own isolated project that's been given its own, they like Kathleen Kennedy at the time gave everyone pretty much like full creative power over that.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of got to do whatever they wanted outside of having to condense the show into just 2 seasons, unlike what they wanted to do. So like, really, now that Dave Filoni is head honcho, you really got to wonder where he's going to take it. Cause like, again,
in Dave we trust, bro.
Like, because it was in production before she stepped down, I probably would imagine that Starfighter is another Kathleen Kennedy produced project, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I don't know. I'm excited for all of it. I'm really just hoping that we just don't get, like you said, just like, bleh, you know?
Yeah. Again, like I'm still pumped for Starfighter, especially given that like the cast is stacked and I know nothing.
Yeah.
Outside of Tom Cruise showed up one day.
Yeah.
Because of course he did.
I really hope that Tom Cruise doesn't make a cameo.
Oh, I don't think he will. From what it sounded like, the fact that they even mentioned, like if he made a cameo, they would have kept that under wraps.
You think?
They wouldn't have said something. Them just saying like, yeah, Tom Cruise came down in his helicopter, jumped into the mud, grabbed the camera out of the guy's hands, and filmed this lightsaber fight and left.
Because I just get brought back to the Jack Black Lizzo cameo in The Mandalorian season 3. And
well, here's the thing. There's definitely a big difference between Lizzo and Tom Cruise. So like if Tom Cruise were to have made a cameo in Mando season 3, even if it was in such a stupid context as Jack Black and Lizzo's was, I bet it still would have been better.
Yeah, you're right. Anyways, things that we get to look forward to. There's not actually a whole lot of other Star Wars IP coming out except for the obvious one, and that is The Mandalorian and Grogu. And I can say that this is probably the most like it's definitely the most like movie project that Disney's ever put out. Because then that's not me speaking for myself. That's me kind of like trying to translate the World Wide Web. Disney is expecting it to be the lowest box office opening Star Wars movie they've ever made. Which
what could that have been?
Doesn't really get me that excited. Makes me a little sad.
It's still gonna make a crap ton of money,
it's still make them. But
like Disney, like lowest, I think the lowest grossing Star Wars movie is like $800 million.
Yeah, I think that the reason why I think the reason why it's so low, like such a low turnout is because traditionally the movies that don't involve the Skywalkers in any kind of way are always the lower performing movies.
Yeah.
Minus Rogue One, because Rogue One is the anomaly.
Well, I think then that one like didn't do crazy at the box office.
No. And I think that that's just because people, as much as people want to see the universe expand, like I don't know. I guess like if I can try to put my thumb on the pulse a little bit of this, is that I think it's because when you're going to the movie, when you're going to the theater, you're paying money. Like you're paying not lots, but you're paying more than you would to buy it on DVD, right? Or purchase or whatever we do now. So you're paying to go and have an experience at the cinema. And because of that, there's inherent expectations that you have where you're like, this better live up to the money I've spent on it. This better be worth the time that I'm taking out of my day to go and view it. And because like Star Wars is one of those franchises where people are so particular, I think that like the reason why movies like this one and like Solo and Rogue One and their various other stuff they've tried to do like fall off or don't open as well is because people are then like, oh, like I wanted to see, I think that's the reason why also the sequels fell off so hard is because people, you get to the movie theater and you're like, this is going to be great. It's going to be awesome. And then it doesn't have any of the characters that you wanted to see. And if it does, they're different because they're old. All of them are old now, right? And it doesn't like follow a storyline, and it doesn't meet the expectations that you have set for it. So you're like, this sucked. Like, yeah. And so then everybody else finds out about that, and they're like, well, I'm not going to go spend my money to watch The Mandalorian and Grogu show that is a continuation of 3 seasons that I probably haven't seen, or I saw a little bit of it, but that makes sense.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I think what their biggest issue is honestly, I think it's the reception of anything that is new and unfamiliar. Like if when they introduce things that are like they're not connected to the original trilogy and prequel, they're not connected to Empire or Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader or any of that. It's like, well, like, yeah, I guess this takes place in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
And that's why I think like, the sequels were a gamble. Like they waited long enough that like the hype was really high, but they still were like Han Solo's here, Leia's here.
Yeah.
The dark side is back.
Yeah.
The light side is reemerging. And like, they made such a hype trailer and you were like,
yeah,
like, well, this clearly it's still the Star Wars I'm familiar with, but they're doing something more with it. And they like, yes, well, take my billions. But then that's why I think like they've been kind of dancing around the idea of doing anything outside of those things. Cause like clearly their like prequel stuff bombed with Acolyte and like it's a big gamble with Starfighter taking place post sequels because the only thing you have to potentially connect it to is the stuff that no one likes or that people it makes it like you're really apprehensive. We don't know how far out of the sequels it's going to be, right?
Yeah.
But like I am trusting with the magnificence of Ryan Gosling's acting and the brilliance of Sean Levy's directing and writing that it could go somewhere good. Yeah. I'm just worried that it's going to be too funny.
Yeah. And I think that that's just like, that's always been my issue. Like, I don't know. Cause I'm not much of a Star Wars hater.
Yeah.
There's actually been very little of Star Wars that's been put out that I'm like, yuck. Honestly, the only thing that Star Wars has ever put out that I am like anti is The Last Jedi, right?
Did you ever watch any of the Resistance show?
No.
Don't.
I've heard that's pretty bad. But I haven't watched The Acolyte, and I'm not really anti-Acolyte. I just never really cared
I haven't watched much of it, but it's fight choreography is commendable.
Yeah.
Very good.
But
you know what has better choreography? Shadow Lord.
Yeah.
And that's not even real.
Yeah. Anything from the prequels. No, but I haven't
Darth Vader and Obi-Wan in 1977.
That's like, I haven't hated anything really except for The Last Jedi. But I think like I'm obviously really excited for this movie, and I don't care what Trevor said it a million times. Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. And this is not me throwing shade at anyone, because it's great to have an opinion, but I do think that there's a lot of people who try their hardest to do nothing but diss on Star Wars and to hate it for whatever reason. Star Wars theory. And his opinions are fine, right? And other creators' opinions are fine. But
everyone's allowed to have them.
At the end of the day, for me personally, I'm just happy that we're getting Star Wars content that doesn't suck, right?
Yeah.
Because like the sequels, put it flat and honest, the sequels sucked. So when The Mandalorian came out, it was like refreshing.
Because oh hey, this is like
it was
they're
like
digging back into their Western roots,
and it wasn't like it. It was practical, right? Mm-hmm. And not in like the Tristan's practical argument but it was like believable.
Dude, I remember the very first time I watched the whatever behind the scenes footage that they released along with season 1 about them inventing the volume. I was blown away.
Yeah. Well,
and it's a shame that that's become so used that it's now really obvious when it's used and it makes it look worse, because that is such a cool technology.
But it was like very grounded. It was a very grounded story in a galaxy of aliens and interspace travel, planetary travel, and intergalaxy travel, and XYZ. Watching The Mandalorian, I was like, wow, this is really grounded. Like, yeah, he's really out there on the ice. Versus like watching the sequels.
Oh my gosh, she managed to force pull the lightsaber from the snow with no effort.
It just jumped too much.
Dude, I remember rationalizing, like way back when how old was I when was I was
2014, wasn't it?
15. I was 12.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember rationalizing to myself that Rey was so good with the lightsaber already because she had practiced with her staff.
Yeah.
No. That doesn't translate.
But like, I haven't hated on anything. The sequels sucked, and it's just been really, to me, refreshing to see storyline and characters come out that for me I can get behind, right? Like, people hated on the Book of Boba Fett. Honestly, didn't think the Book of Boba Fett was that bad. People hated on the Obi-Wan show. It had its moments that were really terrible, but it was a good show.
I hated on it. I'll be honest. I was a part of that group.
The 5 guys that Child Leia outran. What you doing, bro?
You could set your blasters to stun, you know. They've been doing this since, I don't know, the first 10 minutes of the first movie.
Not trot.
Yeah, but Obi-Wan, you can walk around the gate.
You don't gotta shoot it. But I'm just glad when I'm off topic again. But to the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, I'm just happy that we are getting Star Wars. I'm glad that we're getting a Star Wars movie based on something that I've had a chance to become, and this might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I have gotten a chance to become, like, what is it, acclimated to? Like,
You're more attached.
I'm invested.
You're more used to how
I know
that version of the Star Wars universe works.
I know what to expect. I know what it's gonna do, and I know the characters, right?
Yeah, that's why I want to like when Starfighter does come out, like take it like easier for that same reason.
Mm-hmm.
Allow myself to like become acclimated to the way the Star Wars universe is they're intending it to progress.
Yeah.
Because if I'm just going to take it the same way everyone's taking the sequels, then Star Wars is never going to go anywhere, and pretty soon they'll have milked the original trilogy dry.
Yeah. Honestly, like my biggest rule of thumb, like that I wish that every Star Wars fan could remember is that, like, minus the sequels, because the sequels suck. I can't say it enough. But like, to remember that Star Wars is built on the idea of it being shit that turns into gold, right? George Lucas had to pitch the first movie like 5 billion times before any studio even signed off. And even then, when they signed off, they were like, it's going to flop. And he's like, okay, cool. The prequels, everybody hated the prequels, and they've aged like fine wine. Everybody hated the Phantom Menace, but yet people would take the Phantom Menace over any of the sequel trilogy, right? The Clone Wars.
That movie, they were like, you know what? We're going to do this. We're going to make a movie first.
Ahsoka, the most hated character to ever open in the Star Wars franchise, is now one of the most beloved characters at all
in the show,
like,
in the universe,
the entire timeline, right? So like all of these things that are come out, like I try really hard to not have any bias against them, because everything in like Star Wars's whole story in our world is that it's the success of somebody's dream. Right. Mm-hmm. Someone went, I like this enough that I'm going to try to do something new and hope that it sticks. And, 5 years down the line, it'll become great and everybody will love it, because everybody hated Rebels. Everybody hated Clone Wars. Everybody hated the prequels. Everybody hated the original trilogy. Everybody hated Book of Boba Fett and blah, 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 down the line. Right. But here we are. 50 years.
Where would we be without it?
Into this universe, and it is one of, if not the biggest singular IP in the world. Right? So
back to kind of back to like future of Star Wars. Obviously this isn't something that's very possible, but I think that it would be helpful maybe, because it kind of feels like they've detracted from this, if they had George Lucas consult more often.
Yeah.
If agree. Not like contribute to the writing process.
And I think that
is what he's been good at always.
And I think that is actually one of the reasons why I love Dave Filoni being in the position that he's in, is because Dave Filoni's knowledge comes solely from the fact that he would consult George on everything, right? And so if there's anyone that knows Star Wars as well as George does, it's Dave. And I'm almost positive that he's got like George's number on the phone. And hey, I'm gonna do this with Ahsoka, or I'm gonna do this with Maul. Is this correct? Yeah. Okay. This was my idea.
Yeah. I need a copy of George Lucas's Star Wars lore Bible in the writer's room at all times.
And I'd imagine that that's probably what happens, because there was a lot of talk that that Maul Shadow Lord kind of loosely is following the original sequel idea that George Lucas had for the sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy was supposed to be Maul, and obviously we didn't get that, so they're adapting it to the right.
Yeah,
so I'd imagine that there's probably. I genuinely don't think that George Lucas, one, is the kind of guy that can just let this, like, his baby, even though he sold it, go. And now that Dave Filoni's in the position that he's in, I'm almost positive there's a lot more behind the scenes talking.
Yeah. You just, you got to know how much of that input is still input into the show.
Mm-hmm.
This is or films or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because I bet everything Star Wars has been given George Lucas's blessing before it goes through. It's just how much does it change after the fact, right?
Yeah.
Because like everything that we like about Star Wars spawned out of that man's brain outside of Ahsoka, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
That's purely Dave Filoni.
Even Ahsoka, even the Clone Wars, before Dave Filoni even made it, Dave Filoni sat down with George Lucas and was like, I'm going to do this. Tell me what I can do, what I can't do, what makes sense, what doesn't. So like,
well, you see, Dave, you can't have Anakin and Grievous interact at all. Because I mentioned in Revenge of the Sith that Grievous is shorter than Anakin expected. So good luck.
But yeah, I don't know. Now that we tried doing this last year, obviously I don't know. I don't know where it goes from here. Especially now with like a lot more talks coming out and rumors coming out that Disney is trying to reel back in the Star Wars audience into the stuff that everybody loves. So they're pulling away from the sequel trilogy. Like they're rebranding all of Galaxy's Edge. Mm-hmm. They're getting rid of the Galaxy Edge characters to only show up in cameos on, like, what is it?
They'll occasionally bring them up
on the Hollywood Street or whatever. I don't know, Disneyland. But
I gotta say, like, you know, as
nothing's touched that in the film world.
Yeah, as someone who like loves attending Disneyland and loves Galaxy's Edge for what it currently is, like, I love the idea of it being like, every time I've been there, I've like turned to the people I'm with and I'm like, hey, it'll be awesome here in the line queue for Rise of the Resistance if this room full of stormtroopers was on the Death Star. And then, you know, a few months later, they're changing it. And I'm like, whoa, cool. But like the whole, like the idea behind it, them like reeling back everything kind of worries me a little.
Yeah.
Or like, because if they do a full retcon and they redo what their idea of the sequels are, it's not really going to be possible. You can't bring Harrison Ford back.
Well, I don't know
to do more Han Solo stuff.
I don't know. This is the thing that I've been hearing more, and obviously this is all just like internet hearsay. He said, she said, but I've read and I've heard a lot that they're not going to do so much as a retcon as more of like an entire like timeline cut. Right.
They're just going to jump past to the end of.
Well, I think
go past Rise of Skywalker and just
like they're leading up to some moment. I don't know. Some person said it was in one of these shows. I think it was the Ahsoka show, but like it changes the timeline, right? So
there's a canon
event that happens
that they can branch it,
pivots it this way.
They're gonna Ocarina of Time us.
That's what I've been hearing more and more.
This is the Rey timeline.
If Luke kills Ben Solo, we go this way.
If the Emperor actually died when the Death Star blew up, we go in this branch.
But that's kind of what that's what the news on
Surprise, Endor is flooded. A moon falls.
The secret forest planet of Camino. But no, that's what I've been reading. That's like that's the thing that's been going around a lot, is that they're gonna branch it. And so it doesn't really retcon it. It turns it into legends, like what Disney did with everybody's hard work for 20 years.
I guess so.
Which would be fine by me, because I don't like Kathleen Kennedy, and she deserves recompense for all of the hard work she decanonized.
It will be,
and that they would make they'd make like a new trilogy, so they don't involve any of the old characters, but it goes the New Republic route. Explores that a little more, like what they've been doing.
Yeah, I guess I can see that.
Which I'd be fine with that.
If they were to like fully do that, I'd want them to commit. I'd need them to make IP that's in the sequel timeline. You're like, and then that could be the debate online forevermore. It's like, which timeline is this?
Where does it branch?
No one knows.
What event caused it?
What exactly was the Nexus
Captain
event?
America didn't return the stones, and
What exactly caused it to branch?
Doctor Doom showed up, and
Emperor Palpatine didn't do it with somebody and have kids.
he decided to not clone himself.
He was celibate.
One too many times. Han Solo didn't shoot Greedo.
Han Solo died in A New Hope.
They died in the trash compactor.
I mean, I know people have brought up and talked about how cool it would be to have like a Star Wars what if kind of thing. Which one, if they would do that, Clone Wars animation, please. But like two, like, you know, as interesting as that could be, I'd worry that it would bring about those kinds of conversations.
But like, not to get too deep in the Tristan knowledge because we're running real short on time here. But they've already kind of toyed with this. They've already toyed with this idea once. Like, it was kind of like Dave Filoni being like, "Hey, look what I can do." When Ezra goes into the world between worlds and saves Ahsoka, and then
time travel,
and then they're in the world between worlds, and Ezra and Ahsoka find the portal, the time, like I don't know what they're called in the world between worlds, but the time frame where Kanan's like saving them, holding the flames back to save them. And he's like, I can pull him out right here. And Ahsoka's like, no, because then you'll die. Because he did this so you could live. Like, I felt like
now we
that
know
was
how time travel would work in the Star Wars universe.
I felt like when I watched that, I was like, that's Dave Filoni being like, look what I can do. I can change whatever I want, but here's the consequences, right? Like, I'd imagine that if they do go that route, it's going to be in that setting. It'll be in the world between worlds.
They're going to see Rey in one of the portals. Be like, she's like fighting Kylo Ren or something. Like, we could save her. No.
It's
let bygones be bygones.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what
at the same, like, I obviously,
that's where
knowing,
I think,
dude, you know how hated that would be? There's no time travel in Star Wars.
yeah, well,
You can't do that.
yeah, but,
Yeah. I don't know, whatever it is, I'll let them figure it out.
yeah.
And I'll deal with what
I'm
comes out of their creative brains.
I'm obviously just the messenger. I'm just relaying but
yeah.
that's kind of what I think. Also, they're realizing that too, that they need to make a serious shift with the fact that The Mandalorian and Grogu is their lowest projected opening movie. I think that they're starting to, especially now that like the old IP stuff is the only thing that's bringing in their money, like the prequel trilogies and the originals and Ahsoka and Maul, right? They're like, okay, yeah, this is what people want. So we got to find a way that we can continue doing this without ever touching this, because nobody wants to see Canto Bight again, right?
Yeah.
Nobody ever wants to hear the planet named Jakku, ever.
Outside of Battlefront.
But we only have, like, give or take 20 years. So, like, what do we do?
Honestly, right? they need to produce an original gold nugget again. Like, we really got to hope that they make something that is, you know, its own separate time. It's distinctly after something that it can be expanded upon and built on, and it doesn't feel like what Force Awakens felt like. We're like, oh, so everything that they did before, they rebuilt the Empire again.
I want the Old Republic.
Yeah, I know that's like the easy popular choice.
Not the Acolyte that takes place.
No,
like,
I know.
Something
The stuff from Legends.
Yeah,
like the Prime of the Jedi.
Yeah, the High Republic and the Old Republic. I would love to see stories in there.
Yeah,
that like kind of tried to do what the Acolyte wanted to do without being as weird as the Acolyte was.
Yeah.
Right. Like show how Darth Plagueis, or like show how Palpatine becomes Palpatine. There's a segue, right?
I really feel like whatever they do, they got to make something, whether it be movie or show, that it has like a storyline that's following, but it's vague and broad enough that it could go like you can branch so many different things off from so many different places.
Yeah. I just want there to be a connection, but not a connection like how the sequels did, where they took the only things that would have made them money and just brought them back.
That's garbage.
Right. I just want them to like tie it in enough to be like, okay, this fits, but it's new. I think that's why I like Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor so much.
Yeah. But I mean, even, like you were talking about, Survivor's got High Republic stuff.
Right? Yeah. But that's where we will leave it for episode 1 of Star Wars Month
2026. This is already our second time doing this. That's crazy. That's nuts.
Good stuff.
I love Star Wars.